Hello everybody and welcome back to the Bayonetta 2 walkthrough! We're about to go into Chapter 4, The Two Meet, which is arguably one of the best chapters in the entire game, for the precise reason of it is our first instance of the rival boss fight, which are kind of some of the highlights of the entire game. It's brilliant.
Alright. What can I do for you?
So, the main reason we're here is just to get stuff. Technically, you don't need to buy the ults early on. They really aren't, and should not be, a high priority. Unless you want to use both on your hands and feet, but you don't really need it. So just focus on the witch hearts and the moon pearls, because that's all you really need. Because having a little bit of variety is also particularly helpful in the grand scheme of things. Because it means that if you've got the Rakshasa blades, then you can, you know, have guns on your feet, so if you need to continue the combo, then you've got that technique as well. Now, as I said, the one thing that I do love that they actually managed to do is that you can attach the blades to your feet. Which is a first, because you couldn't do that in the first game. It was just completely stuck with your hands. Which was depressing, because it felt like you could do more. But, oh well.
What the fuck was that? Wait, who the fuck are you?
Hey, you're the pervert staring at Bayonetta's tits all the time. You really need to learn how to talk to a lady.
Hey, I am no... Wait, how did...
No time for this, mate. Where's the mountain? Where's Fimbleventer? I'm in a hurry.
Hey, kid! What the hell was that? Kids these days. Huh.
So much for a cat always landing on his feet, Cheshire.
Very subtle, I have to say. Now, if you jump into this hole, we have a journal echo. So, but before we go into Sovereign, we're going to go to Taboo. Every civilization in history weaves narratives starring heroes who, cursing the fates who take loved ones from them, travel to the ends of the world and beyond to bring them back. Resurrection is a universal theme of our kind. I'm not even sure if I believe in the existence of the soul to begin with, but the desire to be with one you love, now you're speaking my language. When these feelings are strong enough, they can drive us to challenge our seemingly immutable fate. Yet many a myth ends with gods themselves failing in their quest. No matter how iron your will, or how pious your prayer, life once lost can never be returned. Such a power was never meant to be wielded by man. That said, if there are any hopeless romantics left in the world who still want to give it a shot, I know the way to hell, and I'd be happy to give you an escort. Just send me an email at... And I don't know what that email is. But... Bloody sod. Anyway, people of the ancient world would depend on the word of God for guidance in times of doubt. Good to know I'm not the only one who likes having someone to back me up and give me a shove in the right direction when I need it. Perhaps this is a perennial bad habit that, despite our progress, mankind just can't seem to shake. The folly known as fortune-telling is just one of the ways we, as a species, have come up with the way to imitate the true sovereign power of God. Speaking of which, it just so happens that I found an intriguing card with a very mysterious aura about it. It must have belonged to that little boy I just bumped into, though I can't imagine why he'd be carrying something with these bizarre tower-like markings. When I look at it, I feel like the card trying to tell me where to go. Well, I won't get far with a single card. How else would they sell you the whole set? So, as you can, I think at least by this point tell, the journal echoes are written by Luca, which is just really awesome, and I think it's a nice move from the fact that all of the diary fragments in the first game were written by his father. So it's a nice point of continuation, and it's really good. And this is a very, very, very easy Broken Witch Heart. Like, ridiculously super easy, it's insane. And as we run down here, we are going to get thrown into our first battle, and it's against a new angel, and it's actually new this time! So here we have Fidelity. Now these guys are very quick and kind of like to mess around with you a bit. Having said that, they die ridiculously quickly. And really, they are one of the least troublesome enemies in the game. Now at this point the game is going to start giving us broken LPs, which we need to collect multiple parts of to fix. Which is annoying, but there's probably only one or two that you're likely to not be able to get easily. And if you come over here, there is an optional fight. The really frustrating thing about this particular fight, though, is that it's very easy to screw up. Because if you leave this platform, then the verse will sort of end, but you won't get a ranking for it. And it's just kind of insane. Basically, you can throw all the enemies off and you can get it fine, but you cannot leave that platform, otherwise you lose the verse. And even if you kill all the angels after going back to it, it doesn't register as completing the verse. So be very, very, very careful on that one, because it screwed me over numerous times when I first played the game. It's a bit of an ass move, but I suppose things like that happen, don't they? And getting up here, we get to fight down more enemies. Yay! Now, a couple of things that I want to point out, whilst we are just going through the motions of battling, is that, so, Loki's kind of squirrel form is most likely a reference to Ratatoska, which is generally considered to mean drill tooth or boar tooth. Basically, it's a squirrel that runs up and down the World Tree Yggdrasil to carry messages between the unnamed eagle perched atop it and the worm Nithhoga that dwells beneath one of the three roots. Reason being for that is because it's a squirrel in Norse mythology, and Loki as a name is also from Norse mythology, so the links are there. And as we go into another Muspelheim, I'm going to bring up something that I believe I talked a little bit about in my original Bayonetta walkthrough, but which I want to discuss here as well, because there's new stuff happening. Also, one thing about the single combo challenges that I think people get confused about is it's not just one single attack combo, it's just keep the combo points score going. If it ever stops, that's the end of the thing, so it's not difficult at all, just keep attacking. But anyway, basically, you've probably heard Bayonetta say every now and again certain phrases that do not sound like English, and they're sort of magic incantations. And you've probably heard sort of some of the enemies maybe saying certain things. But basically the language that's being used is Enochian. Now, Enochian it's an occult or angelic language that's first recorded in the journals of John Dee and his colleague Edward Kelly in the late 16th century. And basically, they claimed that it was the language revealed to them by the angels. And while sort of the journals are very limited, basically it's seen as a fictional language, and to be perfectly honest, it probably is. But it's really cool that J.P. Callums, who's the guy who translated Hikikamiya's original script, decided to kind of try and use this ancient fictional language to kind of add to the magic nature, because it is a occult thing, and it is used in Enochian magic, which I think some random people practice, but it's not common in the slightest. So, basically, both the angels and demons and the witches and the lumen sages all use Enochian to summon things. So far we have had Avavago, which means thunders, to summon Gamora. We have had Argedko to summon Labalus, which means invoke. We've had Sundena, which is the name of an evil spirit, to summon Diomedes. And we've had Ivama, which means first elder, to summon Madama Butterfly. I think that's it so far, but I will try and keep up on everything that gets used as we go through. But I love that they used it, because there's something about the way it works, in that it just sounds magical. And I do just love it. Oh, we've also heard Karg to summon Baal, which means bind. Rather annoyingly, the Bayonetta wiki isn't complete with all of this, which is a shame, because you would have thought they would be. And I think one of the things might be slightly wrong, but oh well. I have to say, it surprises me that I'm using the Rakshasa blades as much as I am, because I completely forgot using them at all. But I evidently did, and there we have an Argedko once again. Now, I don't know whether I covered this, but Labalus, which is basically Bayonetta's most common summon for this game, is named after Glacia Labalus, which in demonology is the 25th spirit of the Goetia, which is a practice which includes the invocation of angels or demons, and seems to derive mostly from a 17th century grimoire called the Lesser Key of Solomon. And he's a great president of hell, who commands 36 legions of demons. And basically, he's quite cool. Commonly depicted as a dog with the wings of a griffin, which is essentially what you get here, but he's much more of a sort of saber-toothed tiger, lion, dog thing with wings than anything else.
No time! I have to get to Fimbulventer! I do I have to go there? What is on the mountain? My head feels like it's gonna burst. Ugh. I have to get to that mountain. Shit! What was that? Nice mask, mate. Headed to that witch's party? Not the best costume I've ever seen, but she doesn't seem like the picky type. Just don't get in my way.
Where is she?
So you are going to her party? Quite the popular one, isn't she? Sorry, mate, but I haven't the fucking slightest. Haven't seen her in ages. Besides, even if I knew, she and I have a special relationship.
Then this will be all the easier.
Shit.
And that, my friends, is why you never, annoy an enemy that you seriously cannot defeat. Now, having just gone into that little nook there and blown up the barrels, that is how you gain access to this verse. It's a little bit of a kind of obtuse, I guess, but it's really, really easy to get, and it's really easy to complete, so you should certainly go through with it. Now, the masked enemy that Loki is facing off against, well, starters, we've got another Angelic Hymns Gold LP, which unlocks one of the single most useful weapons in the game, and it's the one that I'm going to be using the most after a certain point. Basically, it's a replacement for Durga from the original game, so it's got a fire and an ice element. But unlike, well, Durga had a fire and a lightning element, this has got ice. But basically, it acts as like a flamethrower or an ice thrower, and it's incredibly useful. And also required for a certain bewitchment, so you should learn how to use it, most definitely. Also, sorry about this, people. I need to break the bench in order to activate a verse. Now, I have to say, I am not a fan of these accolades. Because basically, so they've got their shields, and you can only hurt them through Witch Time, Umbra and Climax, or kind of basically attacking them enough to break their shields open so that you can pull off a counter. It's a little bit and the frustrating thing is that it's very easy to lose your combo because they block you. And this is a sort of major problem that I think I have in general with Bayonetta 2, is that far too many of the enemies can block. And that really, really messes with the pace of battling. Like, it's not really a problem in... Well, it's not a problem in Bayonetta 1 because no enemies really can stop your combos, but
Another LP?
here,
No
yeah,
rest for it.
it's a pain.
Even if I am jollier than the average demon. But no need to pity me. I was bored anyways. Be right back. This one's gonna be fun. Been looking for a workout like this for a while. Ta-ta.
So, the angelic hymn that we got here is the whole Rash kocht in meinem Herzen, mostly commonly done as the whole Rash, which means Hell's vengeance boils in my heart, and it's the second aria sung by the Queen of the Night in Mozart's opera The Magic Flute.
Some fight left in him for the road ahead. He's all yours now, Bayonetta.
And we get Undine, which is awesome, and I'm going to be making massive use out of it. Now, Undine itself is actually a category of elemental beings, most commonly associated with water, so I'm not quite sure why it's called that. And similar creatures appear in Ovid's Metamorphosis, and basically the Undine kind of becomes a water nymph in its own right and exists in like the Little Mermaid, so that's where that's coming from.
If you need to learn how to talk to a lady, ask your mum.
Also, little facts about that taunt. The developers in Platinum Games just randomly slips that in without Hideki Kamiya realising, and when he realised that they'd put it in, he rather liked it, so they kept it. Had to make fun of Hideki Kamiya on his Twitter feed, because, oh my god, it's hilarious. And here we have a ridiculously awesome cutscene, and a ridiculously awesome fight is about to take place. It's glorious.
What kind of adult picks on little children?
I'm not a child.
A mask? Let me guess. This is one of your assistants, little one?
Nothing comes to mind, love. Sorry. Maybe you've got something you'd like to tell me, love. I'm not a fan of getting wrapped up in domestic disputes.
Trust me, little one. He's not my type. Oh my, you're a Lumen Sage.
And so we begin our fight against the Lumen Sage. This is just amazing. Like, it's just bonkers. And it was one of the earliest demo fights shown off, actually. And it's just stunning. Now, the Mass Lumen is voiced by Crispin Freeman, who is ridiculously prolific. Most well known for being Alucard in Hellsing, Kyon in Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, Tokusa in Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, Holland Novak in Eureka 7, Guan Yu in Dynasty Warriors. He's voiced Siegfried in Soul Calibur 3, Itachi Uchiha in Naruto, Rude in Final Fantasy 7, and Roy Harper in Young Justice, amongst other things. I think he's also done... oh yes, he's Sundowner, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, Helios in God of War 3, and I'm pretty sure he's also... yes, Hideki Motosua in Chobits. So he's just everywhere. But the really awesome thing about this fight is that it is so multi-staged, and it just ramps and ramps. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the Mass Lumen fights completely, because his he likes to break your combos, and while they're incredibly exciting, just there was something about the Jeanne fights that just worked, because she didn't really break your combos, but she dodged them and sort of attacked around, whereas Lumen Sage actually physically tries to interrupt. Which, while making certainly a better fight, it's very difficult to read. And he's arguably way more challenging than Jeanne ever was in the original game. And so far we've had the Lumen Sage and Fortitudo, and now we have the Lumen Sage and Temperantia. The music just kind of keeps building. It's insane. Now, I recall when this was shown off in a trailer, and quite a lot of people were just like, that looked like that was like the final boss. I hope they haven't shown us the final boss fight. At which point my brain was just like, you people don't know Platinum. And as you can see, this is definitely not the final fight. Definitely not. Now, I'm very surprised that I did so well in keeping my combo going throughout this fight. Like, I don't know what happened. Because normally when I fight him, I am failing miserably at keeping that thing going. And I believe at this moment the music is a butterfly against the storm as we enter this sort of punch-out thing. It's really bizarre. I think this is actually the first time that we've ever controlled an Infernal Demon. Actually physically controlled them. It's insane. And with the Lumen Sage Climax, we've basically finished Chapter 4. You can see, that's what I meant by this. This is a really cool chapter, and I think most people do have it as one of their favourites. But there we go. Another platinum in the bag. Oh yeah. And it's time to move on to Chapter 5, which is actually quite long, so it's going to be fun.